Daddy, I have given my all to this company, but you have never once acknowledged me.
My daughter, I love you, but you are a woman and your place is in your husband's house, not your father's business.
Dara was the daughter of Chief Ochuko, and she was the only one who truly had his hardworking spirit. While her two younger brothers, Damian and Desmond, were still snoring in their soft beds, Dara would be sitting at the long dining table with a mountain of office papers. She was 25 years old, and she knew every secret of her father's big company. She knew which trucks were broken and how to make a single naira turn into millions. She did not care about the gold jewelry her mother wore or the loud parties in the city. Dara loved the sound of the machines working and the smell of the office. She worked so hard that her eyes were often red from lack of sleep, but she did it all to make her father proud. One afternoon, Dara walked into her father's big cold office. She was sweating and holding a thick file. She had just spent 2 days saving the company from losing a huge contract. She stood before his heavy mahogany desk and waited for him to look up. "Papa, I did it," she said, her voice shaking with excitement. "I talked to the bank and fixed the problem. We won't lose the money." She waited for a hug or a well done. Instead, Chief Ochuko just sighed and closed his newspaper. He looked at her like she was a broken toy. "This is good, Dara," he said coldly. "You have a man's brain. It is a pity you were born a girl." Dara felt a sharp pain in her chest. "Papa, I do all the work. Damian and Desmond are out drinking while I am saving this family." Chief Ochuko stood up and leaned over his desk. "Enough. I will give you money to marry a good man. I will buy you a house in your husband's village. But this company, this seat, this belongs to your brothers. A woman is just a visitor in her father's house, Dara. Now, go and let the boys come in. We have real work to do." Dara walked out of the office, her heart feeling like a heavy stone. In the hallway, she met Damian and Desmond. Damian was the oldest boy, and he was mean. He kicked Dara's chair as he passed her and laughed. "Look at the manager in her suit," he mocked. "Keep working hard for us, Dara. Clean the seat well. When Papa dies, everything belongs to me and Desmond anyway." Desmond just laughed and filmed her with his phone. "Yes, go to the kitchen and help Mommy," he said. "The boardroom is for men." Their mother, Lolo Ochuko, was even worse. She did not see how tired Dara was. She only saw that Dara was not looking for a husband. That evening, as Dara tried to tell her mother about her day, Lolo cut her off. "Dara, leave those papers and come and learn how to make your father's favorite soup," she snapped. "A woman who cannot cook is a failure. Your brothers are the pillars of this house, not you. You are just a bird waiting to fly to another man's tree." Dara sat at the dinner table that night, listening to her family talk about a future where she did not exist. She was the one holding the mansion together, but she was the only one they wanted to throw out. She looked at her father, who was smiling at his lazy sons, and realized that no matter how hard she worked, the door to his heart was locked because she was a girl. She went to her room and cried quietly, but deep inside, she promised herself she would never stop fighting for what she had built. Dara continued to work, her heart bruised, but her mind sharp. She kept saving the company from the mistakes her brothers made. She kept being the one to wake up early and stay up late. But then, on a Tuesday that felt like any other day, the world stopped. Chief Ochuko was sitting at the head of the long dining table, eating his favorite pepper soup. Damian and Desmond were laughing about a new car they wanted him to buy. Suddenly, the chief's spoon hit the floor with a loud clink. He reached for his chest, his face turning a dark, scary purple. He tried to speak, but no words came out. He looked at Dara, his eyes wide and full of something she could not understand. Then, he fell forward onto the table. The house turned into a place of screaming and running. Lolo was wailing, pulling at her hair. The boys were shouting for the driver. Dara was the only one who kept her head clear enough to call the ambulance, but it was too late. By the time they reached the big hospital, the great Chief Ochuko was gone. The lion of the house had fallen. The weeks of mourning were a nightmare for Dara. Because she was the daughter, she was pushed to the back. Her mother and her brothers took over the front of the house, receiving visitors and acting like the masters of the mansion. Dara, Go and make sure there is enough water for the guests. Lolo would snap, her eyes red from crying. Stop carrying those office files around. Your father is dead. The business is for your brothers now. Respect the dead and act like a woman. Damien and Desmond did not even pretend to be sad for long. They were already walking around the mansion, pointing at things they wanted to sell or change. They went into their father's private study and sat in his big leather chair, smoking and laughing. The king is dead, Damien said, blowing smoke into the air. Long live the kings. Dara, I hope you have started packing your bags. This house is for men now. We are going to sell that old office building and buy a house in Dubai. We don't need to work as hard as you did. Desmond laughed, his eyes greedy. Yes, sister. You can go and marry that man Papa talked about. We will even give you a small part of your bride price to buy a sewing machine. You like to work so much, you can become a tailor. Dara said nothing. She moved through the house like a shadow. She felt the eyes of the village people on her, whispering that it was a pity the chief had such a strong daughter and such weak sons. But the biggest day was yet to come, the day the lawyer would read the will. Everyone gathered in the large living room. The air was hot and smelled of expensive perfume and old secrets. Lolo sat on the biggest sofa, flanked by Damien and Desmond. They were dressed in black, but they looked like they were waiting for a prize. The lawyer, a man named Mr. Agbabiaka, sat at the small glass table,